Live from America's heartland, this is the Daily Truth Report with your host, Noah Christopher.
Welcome back to the Daily Truth Report. I'm your host, Noah, and on the screen with me is the only guest we could have today after what has happened in the crypto world the past 2 days. Bo Polny back on the show. Bo, great to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you, Noah. As always, pleasure to see you, and thank you again for having me on your show. I really enjoy speaking with you. Actually, I want to tell you, I don't watch news, but if I'm ever going to check the news, I go to either, the Daily Truth Report, or I go to We Love Trump website, the ones that you manage, because you actually state things that are of interest to me. So thank you for what you do, Noah. You really, you haven't stopped. These years have been going on, and you continue plugging away and putting the news out, the good news out for us, for your followers. So thank you for what you do, Noah. You are really a warrior, and I love reading what you put out there. So thank you.
Oh, that is very nice. Thank you, Bo. That's especially coming from you. That means a lot. We do work very hard, and it's nice to know. We've got we average anywhere from 4 to 6 million readers a year, but those are just numbers. And to know that someone like you is reading, that means a lot. So thank you. Well, we have to talk about, so we're recording this interview. It'll go up live later on tonight, probably, but we are recording this on March 14th, and we have had an incredible 2 days in crypto. And spoiler alert, I'm going to tell everybody, we'll cover this a little bit later on in the interview, but if you're a subscriber to Bo's newsletter, you already know this, but for everybody else, Bo nailed the jump in crypto to the day. We're going to show some screenshots of his historical newsletters here in just a little bit, but Bo has been saying, he said February is going to be boring, and then he said watch out for March 13th because there is a big vertical spike coming. I think you said vertical spike, you said violent move up, stuff like that. Well, if you've been watching anything about crypto in the past couple of days, you know that we have absolutely exploded to the upside. Monday morning, amidst all the bank runs and everything else that's been happening, 3 banks have failed and been taken over, worries about bank runs, news from the Federal Reserve, from Janet Yellen, all these people. Amidst all of that, Bitcoin has suddenly gone crazy. And we're going to talk about why. Bo's going to explain why, and he's going to explain what happens next. But I just have to say, it's been crazy. Bitcoin jumped $3,000 in 24 hours on Monday, and then again today, up another 2,000. So absolutely crazy, Bo. I just want to say, before we even get into anything else, you've got a lot of news, you've got a lot of timelines, and next events that are coming in the world cycle: March, April, May, and June. But I just have to say, boy, did you ever nail it on that date.
Thanks, Noah. Yeah, actually, it's not me. All I do is, Ecclesiastes states that which has been will be again. There's nothing new under the sun. It's a biblical verse. So what do? I go back, I study history, and like I've said before, if you don't study history, you'll never know the future. Period. So I go back, I study history, historic cycles, and all I know is when I study history, I've proven this to myself and now to obviously to many of my readers, over and over and over again, how you can literally predict what's going to happen days, weeks, months before it ever happens. Just like the crash that happened with FTX, right? In October, what did we say? On November 7th, 8th, Bitcoin's going to crash, going to break down through 19,000 and collapse. Noah, it did it exactly to the exact day. Now, again, how did it happen? Why? It's very simple. Life replays itself. I knew where to look. God shows me how to understand the charts and the patterns. So I knew where to look. And so when I knew where to look, I saw what was coming. And so in October, I was writing, don't be surprised if Bitcoin crashes on November 8th. And it's exactly what happened, only to find out later on why, right? The cycles precede events, so we didn't know the event, but the event ended up being FTX. Now, Bitcoin jumped vertical. Well, why did it jump vertical? Again, I didn't know why it's going to jump vertical, but then on Friday, look what happened to the banks, right? So you had these banks collapse, the seizures, and next thing you know, boom, Monday, first trading day, Bitcoin jumps $4,000 straight to the upside, maybe 5,000. And so cycles are preceding events. And so I don't care what people say, Bitcoin's good, Bitcoin's bad. All I'm telling you is Bitcoin's going up into the future. Okay. If people say, gold and silver are never going to go up, well, then, they haven't studied history to know what's coming. So all I'm telling you is the world we experience, we know today, the way we transact financially, Noah, the way that we literally transact, whether it's with this paper money,
credit cards, the way we're transacting today and that we grew up with is about to change forever. Forever. The evil side is pushing their agenda. They're trying to bring on what's called a central bank digital currency. And that's in direct opposition to what cryptocurrencies are because they're open ledgers. So they're trying to control, they're trying to take down the banks and do all these things because they want to control the narrative. They want to control the money supply, the money. They want to control it. And how have they run the world? With the control of money. So what's about to happen is their money is about to fail. The US dollar, the world reserve currency, the fiat money system is about to fail. As the money fails, and when the money fails, their concept of a central bank digital currency is going to collapse with it. Period. And what's going to happen is the money that they hate. So what do they hate? Well, they've called gold a rock for generations already, right? So they hate gold. They can't stand silver. They manipulate that 9 times, 10 times more than they manipulate the price of gold. So they hate silver with a passion. They can't stand gold. And crypto apparently has died. Bitcoin apparently has died 250 times in the past 10 years, but it's still alive and it's over 24, 25, 26,000 as we're speaking. So it's like, how is it Bitcoin dead if it's $25,000 a Bitcoin? So everything that they spew is a lie, but all that they have the media to basically spew the lies. And if you say, what's the saying? You say something enough times and loud enough, people start to believe you. And that's all that's been going on, right? But when you understand cycles, who cares what they say because it's irrelevant. I look at the cycle and I'm telling you, whatever they're saying, it's a moot point because the cycles indicate that they're going to lose control. The biblical timelines indicate that the financial system we know is about to flip, like Jesus Christ walking into the temple, flipping the tables on the money changers. Okay, this is about to manifest. So whatever their plans are, they're going to be stopped, and a new financial system is about to manifest that's going to change everything and what we perceive reality. So everything that we were taught to be this true was because they used the money system to basically build their narrative. So we're gonna, there's exposures that are coming. What does light do to darkness? God is the light, right? The light that's coming out is going to be exposed. It's going to expose such horrific things that have been done to the world, to us, to the children, the lies, the propaganda. Everything that they've done is going to very soon be exposed. These next 3.5 months are going to be 3.5 months the world's never going to forget. It's one of the most powerful time points in human history we're stepping into these next 3.5 months. And so everything that they've tried to push upon us is about to blow up in their face, and they don't even see it coming because they are extremely, at this point, arrogant. Who are these people? They're demon possessed individuals. What are demons? They're nothing but alpha predators. And so they're so arrogant, so prideful right now. They literally think that they are unstoppable. And so they are about to have a moment in time that they will never, ever forget. And there's a moment in time that I believe is extremely, extremely important coming up here very shortly. And we're going to talk about some very critical dates. One in particular, we talked about in the pre-show, that I think that time point is going to be absolutely historic for what is about to go down on this earth, Noah.
Yeah, well, and Bo, you told us the last time you were on, you said it starts in March. Last time you were on, I think was February. So you said we're getting going.
Actually, I want to correct. I said no. I want to correct. I said the end of January is when things basically all the time points complete. So all the cycles completed, the key time points, end of January. So February was supposed to bring events. Well, what happened? How many trains got derailed in February? We're talking about the Asbury revival in February. Like, how many things happened in February that were just crazy? Look at what happened in the month of February, and it all started with events in February that lead to the beginning of their end leading here in March. But go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say is sometimes every once in a while we get someone that'll put a comment down and say, well, nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. What are you talking about? We have had, like you said, how many train derailments do you remember in your entire life? I mean, I remember maybe 1 or 2 before this year. I remember maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 my entire life, right? Maybe the last 30 years. And all of a sudden in February, we get one a day and, and they just don't stop. I mean, come on. What, and then you have the Asbury revival. And then what did we have just this week? So now we're into March, but what do we have this week? We have 3 banks that just failed. And the one bank was, I'm not a big expert on this, but I've read a lot this week. The one bank was the second largest bank failure in U.S. history. Just happened this week. So to the people that, respectfully, to the people who say nothing is happening, what are you talking about? But so that's past, that's pretense. What you're saying, the next 3 months going to be even bigger. Is that right? And let me get your slides open too, Bo, because I'll have you take us through it. But you're saying if you think February and March and 3 bank failures are big, you're saying something bigger than that's coming.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what I'm showing you, we'll go through some time calculations. I'm going to show you some crystal clear biblical calculations, Noah, that are using scriptural time windows. We're going to apply them into present day, and let's just go through it of what's lining up here right now. So, you've got page 1 up right now. So, this is their end that's coming. And so by the time June 25 hits, you'll know why. But June 25 of this year potentially is the kind of completionary point of all of this being done and finished. And then that leads us into a transition point in summer of about 30 days, which takes us into the 9th of August. And then starting August onwards, it's a rebuild of the worldwide financial collapse, implosion, explosion, whatever you want to call this event, but the literal collapse of the world that we know goes down into the 25th of June. And there's some critical dates as we head into that. Mm-hmm. And so starting in August, we're looking into a time point of rebuilding, and you'll see why this is specifically going to supposed to play out exactly like this. And it's predicated directly on what's laid out within what's called the Daniel's timeline, which those that follow my work know how I use that. So on page 2, what's coming is the collapse of the church, of the family unit, of what they're trying to literally push upon these families, get the wife out to work, destroy the family unit, mess with the kids, destroy the financial. You've used the financial system to destroy humanity, the education, the government, the media. Everything is supposed to blow up, and then that leads us into a historic time point in the second half of the year. So I believe the second half of the year, you've got, that slide on there right now at 45. I believe based on the rebuild cycle I'm going to show you, he would have to come in anywhere from July into the end of the year, November into December, because he needs to come rebuild the utter destruction that happened when you destroy the financial system we know.
I just had to jump to that
billions
slide.
of people on this earth, Noah, that need to still transact and buy things. But when the financial system, we know that the credit card system, the bank system, it all blows up. You need to still transact and buy things. So someone's got to come back and fix this horrendous mess that happened, but it was intentional because God has to destroy the money system, Noah, because people worship money, not him. The money system needs to be destroyed and then built with an honest money system built on gold and silver, and cryptocurrencies for a period will be critically important for transactions at distance. Go ahead, Noah. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you said a word I really liked. You said rebuilding. And so I just had to flip to the screen of the builder, because if you're going to rebuild, you probably need a builder. And so I just thought I'd jump to this because I really like that slide. So that's we're a little ahead of ourselves. That's the second half of the year, but there's your spoiler alert. Good things are coming. So I love that. So I jumped way ahead, Bo. I'm sorry about that, but you got me excited with that word builder. So sounds like we're in for some very good things ahead.
Absolutely. Scary and good. It depends on what side of the fence you're sitting on. If those, remember, like you and I talk, your viewers know, they're awake. Okay. So they know what we talk about. And maybe if they haven't heard of what I'm saying, many of your viewers, most of your viewers understand that we're being lied to. A lot of the truth that just came out, the last week with Tucker, right? People are starting to expose that J6, what happened on that day, and what was hidden from us. So truth is coming out, but but that's like millions of people that are aware, okay? But there's billions in this earth, Noah. So that's the thing, right? There's so many people in this earth that are still asleep and don't understand don't know what you and I are aware of. And so a mass awakening is coming, and that awakening is going to come with shock. Okay, shock. These people are going to freak out knowing when this truth bombs start hitting the world of what was really going on, because it's going to come out. But when you look at that slide right in front of you, how has it all been done? If you read Revelation 17 verse 5, it talks about mystery Babylon. Why it's a mystery is because it means that there's puppet masters. Okay, it means people pulling strings and controlling people. So they're in the shadows. So that's why it's a mystery. These people that control the world, the Klauses, Schwabs, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, there's families that are trillionaires because they created money out of thin air. And so everyone's bought, paid for, but they pull strings of everybody and to control humanity. So that's really what we're watching is Mystery Babylon that's running the world, controlling all the global leaders. And ultimately that's controlling the 7 mountains, the 7 hills of the world, and those 7 hills are basically that could run the world we live in. And so when the money system breaks, because God's going to take it down, the 7 hills collapse. Period.
Mm-hmm.
And then so when the 7 hills collapsed, people are like, oh, that's going to be great when these people all lose control. As great as it's going to be, the supplier that buys groceries, no longer the credit card and the banking system doesn't work. So the grocery stores are not going to have food because the suppliers will not get paid because the banking system's not working. So everything that we use involves finance, right? And commerce. But when the commerce breaks, then how do people get paid for what they're doing? And if they're not getting paid, they're not going to work. So everything's going to come to a screeching halt. Millionaires of this world who are unprepared are going to lose, first off, because of financial collapse, they're going to lose all their wealth. So people that are presently millionaires or billionaires or even trillionaires, many are going to lose all of their wealth. And then these people will ultimately be standing in food lines. That's coming. Why? Because the system of buying and purchasing things gets broken. And so for a period of time, everything's messed up. So that's why we're going to need the builder to come back and rebuild what God destroyed. And why would God want to do this? Because this has been in the works for 2,500 years. Daniel 2, verse 34, the 2,500 year prophecy that has not been broken yet. Every kingdom that it describes has come to pass, except Daniel 2, verse 34, which states, a stone carved out by no human hand comes in and destroys Mystery Babylon. No human hand means God comes in and does this. So God is going to come in and destroy Mystery Babylon. And then we have the builder come back to rebuild a kingdom, a godly kingdom under God. That's why it was prophesied that, that 45 comes in as a president, right? But he leaves office as a praying president.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's going to come in as a praying president, fulfilling the prophetic word of Kim Clement. Why? Because in the new era, there's a new kingdom. And I want to be very clear. God, we're preparing the way for the return of Christ. When Christ returns, he's coming back to an earth that's no longer has Babylon standing. So Babylon gets destroyed. And so before Christ returns, we have glory manifesting across this earth, stopping these people. And then God is now going to prepare a way for his bride into end time. So the great wealth transfer that's about to manifest is a fulfillment of Proverbs 13:22, the wealth of the sinner, the evil ones, the Klaus Schwabs, the Bill Gateses, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, these trillionaires, their money is going to come to the church. Noah, this is crazy. We're about to see financial blessings that we can't even comprehend. And that is what's coming. When? Well, we're going to talk about that in the presentation. So on page 3, go ahead, Noah.
Yes. I'm going to do 2 quick housekeeping notes here. We're on page 3, which has your QR code. So for anybody that wants these slides, I always like to comment on this. Grab these slides. You can aim your phone take your phone out, just get your regular camera app. You don't have to have anything special. Aim it at that QR code. A link's going to pop up. It's going to allow you to download this slide presentation, or there will be a link right below wherever you're watching this. We're up on Rumble. We're on YouTube. We're also going to try and get it up on Twitter. So I will put the link where you can download it right below. And then the other thing I'd like you to do is, I'd love to get some comments going below this video. If you saw what Bo wrote in his newsletter this week, where he said, March 13th is going to be a violent spike up for Bitcoin. Give me a little support on that, because I read it, but of course that's a private report. So we don't like to talk about Bo's future reports because that's out of integrity to his subscribers. But for everybody that read this in the past, drop me a comment below. I know we got a lot of people who are subscribers to that newsletter, and let me know if you read that and then you witnessed it right along with me, because I was just blown away. So we will get back to crypto towards the end of this interview. But for right now, Bo, you've got some big dates coming up, and we're rolling right into those in the slides. But I think it's 3/22, May 1. Go ahead and take us through those. What are the big ones before we get to the rebuilding? We've got the stuff before that. So in the next 3 months, what are we looking at?
Right. So if you go to the next slide, page 4. So let's talk about how this is all going to play out. First off, we are talking, these people are demon possessed. Okay. These demons have only one agenda. They hate God. They hate his creation. They want to kill everybody. They are alpha predators. They are mean and they are nasty. Okay. And so we've seen that, what's going on. You know, they haven't stopped coming after Trump in how many years, right? They are not going to stop. This is a fight to the death. Okay. Why is it a fight to the death? Because they know if the truth comes out of what they've been doing, they're dead. They will hang on the gallows. Okay. And Trump actually just a couple days ago, last week, tweeted that, you know, these people should be tried for treason. He said it. Okay. And that basically means that if the truth comes out of what they did, they should be tried for treason. So they know they're dead. So guess what they're going to do? They're going to fight to the death. Get it? They're dead either way, so they might as well fight to the death. So don't be surprised they're going to pull the nuclear card. Hey, the nuclear war is about to break. They are not going to stop. They're going to do anything and everything to not let the truth come out, because the truth is their end. So they're going to fight to the end, period. But if you read Matthew 24, be not deceived. The end is not yet. These are the beginning of birth pains. It's right in Matthew 24. So what does birth pains mean? Well, if we're talking birth, when would God's New Year start? Rosh Hashanah. That's when the British pound collapsed. We talked about that in prior interviews. That was the day the British pound went straight down on the 24th, that weekend, the 24th, 25th, Rosh Hashanah weekend. Well, what's birth? 9 months. Do you realize, Noah, to the exact day would be June 25? 9 months. So that doesn't mean, because it's delivery date, right? Delivery can be before that date or after that date. So I don't know. I'm just telling you that 9 months-ish, if the doctor's going to give you an expected delivery date, it'd be June 25, right? So my point is, the new era that's about to be birthed is going to manifest come July into August. That there's going to be a birth of a new kingdom here on earth. I can't emphasize the importance of that. A kingdom that's an honest kingdom, a godly kingdom, which means Babylon fell. The financial system, the political system, the media system, everything blew up as we get into summer. And it's interesting because 3 days before that is June 21, or it's 4 days before June 21, which is a summer solstice, the day of most light. What does light do to darkness? Exposes the deals done in the dark. So all I'm telling you is that June 25 is critically important as we head into it, but there's some huge dates heading into June 25. The other crazy part on the next page 5 is another confirmatory calculation for June 25, which is done a completely separate way, but God showed me this and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So from June 30th of 2016, when Obama allows transgenders into the U.S. military, well, we know that's messed up, right? And that's the last person to ever touch or lay their hands on the Declaration of Independence, the chief conservator, retired on the exact day, June 30th, 2016. Noah, 1,260 days forward, which is a Daniel cycle, exactly to the exact day, was when a cluster of patients in Wuhan, China experienced symptoms. Then you got a 30-day window. If you look right there, so the 30-day window. So that takes us to precisely January 12th, 2020. And that's when it truly became a pandemic, because on that exact date,
The first diagnosed lab case of SARS-CoV virus the first case outside of China was confirmed on January 12th. So why is that January 12th important? Because that basically marked the opening of the first seal of Revelation. We talked about that in December it opened 2019. And so 1,260 days forward takes us to the exact same date, June 25. So the 3.5-year cycle completes on June 25. That leaves us a 45-day window, which you understand Daniel's timeline. And then so the new era, the rebirth, that is, so the new United States, blessed under God, the greatest, back to how the United States was founded. But this time, we're blessed under God. We've turned from our wicked ways. No more abortion. The new United States begins its rebuild in August.
Wow. Yes, incredible.
Everything that, and that leads us into 3.5 years, another 1,260 days of the greatest 3.5 years the world has ever seen. The finances are going to be so insanely awesome for the bride, for the church, we can't even comprehend. The revival, the spiritual revival across the globe is going to be insane. So, what just happened with Azusa is a drop compared to the ocean that's about to manifest in terms of spiritual revivals across this world. It's insane what's coming, Noah. It's truly awesome. Next, page 26. So that's basically, my wife and I, we basically in last year in November went to the top of Europe. Noah, I've shown this, but they've got a Sphinx built. Come on, they got a Sphinx built at the top of Europe. Give me a break. Like, really? Like, they hide everything in plain sight. This is no different, so this is no different than Pharaoh. What did Noah, when Moses walked back, after being, at Mount Sinai, he walked back past these sphinxes when he went to go talk to Pharaoh. What did he say? Let my people go so they may worship me. These are the same people. It's the same stuff that went on thousands of years ago. Then you got 400 years that Israel was enslaved to Pharaoh. The Mayflower landed 400 years ago. Noah, you can't make this stuff up. You can't make it up. And it's all right in front of us, especially when you start putting the pieces together. So, so next slide, we've talked about timelines. Go to page 8 as well. So page 8, January is very critical. All these timelines come together in January, which means that February, things are supposed to begin into March. So now the good stuff begins here. If you look at page 9, I want you to see how timelines work. I was the only, again, not credit for this, but how I did it was I used Daniel's timeline, right? So I'm using Daniel's timeline. And so I think, the only person in the world that predicted in 2011 that gold and silver would top to the exact day. Crazy, Noah, but it happened, okay? How did I do it? I don't want the glory, because all I did was I used God's timing. I used Daniel's timeline, and I literally was able to predict the exact tops in gold and silver in the year 2011 to the exact day. So then when you run the cycle forward, it points, and then if what I made mistake was last year, I made a mistake. I assumed 2022 was all this could have went down, but then I forgot to add in the year of Jubilee. If you add in the year of Jubilee, guess what you land on? March 6th of this year. Purim.
So I had people asking me,
go to the next slide, Noah. What happened on March 6th?
That's what I wanted to ask you. What did we get?
Guess what Tucker did?
That's when he dropped it.
January, the big drop came on Purim.
And that's March what breaks everything open.
To the exact calculated date from page 9, going all the way back to the year 2011. Noah, this is insane. This is mathematical perfection. That's absolutely impossible, but it happened.
I remember it was just last week, but he got those tapes early, and he started talking on Thursday and Friday about how we're going to do this big report on Monday. So he waited for that exact date, didn't he? And then he released those right on March 6th. That's incredible.
Everything that I've seen, it's incredible. But what happens is even the evil ones, and when people move, everyone is moving, good and evil, always moves within God's anointed God's timing. It's crazy, but everything's happening in his timing. It's insane, but look what happened. It aired on Purim. Perfect example. Jesus Christ died on Passover.
Daniel was thrown in the lion's den on Passover on the same day. It's like everything is laid out. The end is written from the beginning, and all I'm trying to illustrate to you is what God's already planned out. And all that's happening is these critical, crazy, big events are happening on important, godly dates, God's timing.
Yeah, and Bo, we're not going to retell the whole story here. I know most people listening to this know it, but go read that story of Purim. It's in Esther, but you've got this quote on the screen, and this is Esther 7:10, and basically the end of the story is you've got the bad guy in the story is Haman, and he builds these gallows that he's going to kill all the Jews on, all of Israel, and then the story flips, and he's the one who ends up getting executed on those gallows. They hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai, and so you put that into this J6. What did they do for 2 years? They had a fake narrative that they tried to hang all these people, maybe not literally, but they put them in. They're still in prison. So pretty soon, if I'm connecting the dots here, that's going to flip, and they're going to be the ones taking the punishment for what they did on J6.
Oh, absolutely. And I forgot to mention this. Like, this is crazy. On the 15 Nisan, which is Passover, okay, Haman came to the king to try to convince him to wipe out all the Jews. And then come Purim, he hung on those gallows. So he actually came to the king on Passover, the same day that Daniel was thrown into the lion's den, the same day that Jesus Christ died on the cross. And then 3 days later, he rose from the dead. Like, you got to admit, this is crazy how all of this is happening on precise biblical dates. And my point is, that's how you know there is a God. That's mathematically impossible for all of these events to be going down on such precise biblical time points. But it's happening. You continually get the slides you got in front of you. Now, for the next 3 Purims, there's blood moons on those Purims. I've gone back hundreds of years. This has never happened before, 3 consecutive. You'll come from, and then when we talk about the 1260 days, that's 3 years, 3.5 years. So for the next 3.5 years, what they did to us for generations now gets exposed by June 25. And then the the Haman effect is going to manifest starting next year. So I'm telling you, it could be sooner, but based on what I'm looking at here, next year we are going to see on national TV hangings and executions for what has happened, for what they have done. So that's all I know, and I don't know more than I'm just using the blood moons that they're landing on 3 Purims in a row. I know what's about to happen here, so I'm just saying this is looking incredible for the bride, for the church, and horrible to the people that currently run this world, the puppet masters and all that work for them. So we wait and we watch, but all I can tell you is it's gonna be happening really soon.
Well, what you keep describing is reminding me of that famous quote or post from we're trying to stay up on YouTube here, so I won't say the letter. I'll say number 17. Everyone knows who I'm talking about, but that famous number 17 post that says when all of this is exposed, and this is a paraphrase, but when all of this is exposed, they won't be able to walk down the streets. And that's what I'm hearing you describe right here.
Oh, absolutely. Not only that, before that even happens, right? So this is the thing, with that letter guy, the letter, the number. The point being is that, the one thing they say is, trust the, whatever, right? The point is, no one knows what because the plan itself, the point I'm trying to make is, no one knows what it is because it's God's secret. So how can someone say trust the when it's God's secret?
Yeah.
Because God won't even speak to his prophets of what he's going to do. And he won't even speak to his prophets of how on the day he's going to do it. And the reason is because when this event goes down, there'll be no counter. The evil ones will not be able to counter what God's final strike was. So God's spoken through the service of prophets for years now, for quite a few years, especially the past 2 years, really been speaking. But the final strike, the blow, we don't know, but we do know one very specific thing of what's about to happen. If you go to slide 21, we know that the angel of death is now on the earth. This was prophesied by Kent Christmas. The angel of death that visited Pharaoh and killed Pharaoh's firstborn and all of Egypt's firstborn, including the beasts, is on the earth right now.
And we, Bo, we have watched these before, and I won't click it right now, but these slides are not just beautiful, but you have links built into all of these slides. So when you get these slides right here, you can watch that interview or that message from Kent Christmas. And all throughout this presentation are links where you can go, and Bo doesn't just tell you things, he gives you the source. So I just wanted to point that out. We're not going to do it here for the sake of time, but take some time. That is an incredible message. And we've played it here before. Go watch it again.
That's a great point, because every slide that I have is biblically referenced. So there's a biblical reference or scripture to every single slide. And many times, sometimes I'll even throw in prophetic words to match in with the scripture. And then I have this anointing to put all the pieces together and to understand, the timing of this. So that's all I'm doing. But I'm telling you, the angel of death is going to visit these people. So I don't believe many of them are going to be able to walk on the streets, because they're going to be gone. In a single day. In a single day, the angel of death visited Pharaoh and destroyed all the firstborn. So do expect mass deaths are coming to this world. The ones that are left, those are the ones that are going to be scared to walk in the streets. So they won't. So I don't know how this is going to play out, but I'm telling you, the angel of death is involved in this. And you have to, there's a two-part, the black horse, angel of death. The rider's got scales in his hands. The scales simply represent the financial scales of balance. Okay, let me explain that to you, just so you can get your viewers can get a nice understanding of that. Okay, if you click on page 42, I want you to understand this. On page 42, what happened was Nixon took us off the gold standard in 1971. And since then, they've been creating money out of thin air. See that big spike? That's money created out of thin air that people actually believe they have to pay back. Student loans, credit cards, mortgages. Why did the price of homes go up? Because of the money supply. There's just more money chasing the same home. This is another part I want to add to this, which is kind of interesting. I just did a simple calculation. $1 trillion is a 1 with 12 zeros in front of it. All right, Noah? A 1 with 12 zeros. Take $1 trillion and then divide it by just Google the US population. Divided by the US population.
Okay.
So what that calculation shows, that every $1 trillion that's created, each individual should get just under $3,000. So if the government creates $1 trillion, if they don't give you for every trillion $3,000, you're becoming poorer and poorer, and this word or not, but your value, what you're worth is less and less and less and less, and the global elite are worth more and more and more and more. So the point is, when you create money out of thin air, it's a dishonest money system, because like in the stock market crash of 2020 of March, they created 7 trillion over the weekend, which means that every family, so is that so 3,000 times 7. So every individual of family should have gotten about $20,000 to $21,000 for them creating that money out of thin air. But instead, they stuck the money in the stock market to basically fix everything. So that's why you have this separation between the rich and the poor. The richer, the home prices, the bond, everything's getting more expensive, while everyone else is getting poorer and poorer living in the streets. That's a separation. So that's why when God says you've been weighing the balances and found wanting, God looks at that and goes, you've created fake money out of thin air. You've enslaved my people. You make them believe they actually have to pay back money you're creating out of thin air. You throw an interest rate on that to further enslave them. And so you've been weighed in the balances. God has weighed the evil ones. In the bankers. I've weighed you in the balances, and I found that you've been wanting. You're out of balance. So therefore, your kingdom has now come to an end and will be given to the Medes, and the Persians, in this case, will be given to the church. So this will be the greatest wealth transfer in human history. So if you go to the next slide, page 43, here is where God is actually talking to them. Go to now, ye rich men. He's talking to them. The Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, all these global elites. Weep and howl for the miseries that shall come upon you.
Your riches are corrupt. Your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, meaning there's SLV, their GLD stock contracts. Their contracts in the COMEX for gold and silver. All that is fake paper contracts that apparently represent the silver supply, but does not, or gold supply, but it's a complete fraud. So therefore, the rust of them shall be witness against you. Meaning when the truth comes out, it's going to be a witness against you of what there actually is no gold, there is no silver to back any of those contracts. And ye have heaped and so it'll burn your flesh like fire, and ye have heaped treasures for the last days. Game over. You are finished. That takes me to the next slide, 44.
Yeah,
and
what's this all about?
Awesome. Okay. So Ecclesiastes 2, verse 26. You know, the Chase logo is kind of interesting. It just happens to be a swastika if you look at it. So secondly, look at this stuff. Okay. So JP Morgan have created 55, last checked, $55 trillion in derivative contracts to control the price of silver. 55 trillion. No, those numbers are insane. Because the money system is controlled by high-speed computers, so they can create as much money as they want to keep perpetuating this to infinity, because the money said there's just nothing but high-speed computers that run everything, okay? So everything is a fraud right now. So check this out. So to those that may not have, because they're poor right now, or don't have the financial means to be buying precious metals, because what's coming, Proverbs 13:22, sinners' wealth is stored up for the righteous, for the church. Well, where else is that confirmed in the Bible? If you read Ecclesiastes 2:26, to the person who pleases God, he gives wisdom, knowledge, and happiness. Well, I think we've kind of, with what you're doing, with I'm doing, Nova, we're giving people wisdom, knowledge, and happiness. And the ones that are listening are the ones that probably please God, your viewers, right? But to the sinner, he gives the task of gathering and storing up wealth. Well, I think JP Morgan's got $55 trillion. I would consider that as gathering and storing up wealth. Would you not consider that? Right? And what does the last line say? To hand over to the ones who please God.
Wow.
That is what's coming. The greatest financial event in human history, fulfilling the prophetic words of Kim Clement on page 45. I am restoring the fortunes of Zion. They have robbed us of our inheritance. The earth was made by God for us, not for Satan. They've robbed our inheritance from us. They've turned us into debt slaves. We, if you read Deuteronomy, are to be the lenders to the nations. And the borrower is slave to the lender. They've turned us into borrowers, slaves to the lenders. What's happening to the banks? They're starting to blow up. You see what happens, Noah, if you have a mortgage or a debt or a student loan, but the bank, you owe it to the bank and the bank blows up, guess what just happened to your loan? It blew up with your bank because there's no one to pay back. The banking institutions that we know today are about to all blow up when God intervenes. We're just like the revival we've seen at Asbury Street Revival. The banks that just blew up are nothing but a drop in the bucket to what's about to happen. Just like Asbury Revival was a drop in the bucket to what's about to happen with regard to revival. So we're going to see historic moves in precious metals. When I say historic, forget that word, biblical. Because biblical means, if you read Matthew 13 on the next page, 46, blessings are 30, 60, 100-fold. So price of silver, present day times 30 is about $600. 20 times 30 is about $600 silver. That's just first layer. Then you're talking 12 to 1,500. Then you're talking at 100-fold, $2,000 to $2,500 silver per coin. That's coming. And I mean soon, like not 20 years away. We're talking soon. We know that the glory that's coming, we're talking 3.5 years of Haman effect, right? So I don't know what day or what year, but within the next 3 years, maybe even this year, maybe next. But don't be surprised if we see silver at $2,000 to $2,500 an ounce.
Wow.
Within the next 3 years, possibly
I don't know, this year, next year, I don't know, because that's God's secret. But I'm telling you, God's not going to be mocked. These numbers are biblical numbers that will happen.
Wow, those are stunning numbers. Even 600 seems impossible.
Right. And it is impossible. See, that's the word. It's a beautiful use of the word, because that number is an impossibility. Actually, the things that I talk about with, 45 returning this year, with these people losing their power, and, and the angel of death showing up, all of those things and everything else we discussed today, Noah, is impossible. But that's where God operates.
Yes, that's so good.
You see, so you have to understand that everything is impossible that I discussed today. So I know it does sound crazy, because actually the word for another word for crazy is impossible, right? A biblical word for it. And so all of it is impossible until God intervenes, and then the impossible becomes possible. And I'm telling you, we're stepping into a kingdom economy that's about to manifest on this earth. The way we transact with credit cards, writing checks, going to your bank, all of that's about to blow up. It's all about to be obsolete, because a new financial system is about to be birthed. But first, you have to have the collapse, and then you have to have the rebuild of the system. And all of that's coming extremely, extremely soon. And so let's talk about, when all of these things could start to manifest. So let's kind of head back over here to page 27.
Okay.
Because page 27 takes us into some very important biblical time points. Actually, before I touch on page 27, I just want to touch on not a biblical date, but a date that they actually have, in their, meaning the evil ones, have in their schedule. And that's specifically what you've got in front of you, 322. This is skull and bones number, okay? So what does that mean? For whatever reason, the first concentration camp was founded on 322, exactly 90 years ago, okay? For whatever reason, there's a movie that came out, Olympus Has Fallen, and they put it out on exactly 322 of the year 2013. So, and I can go on and on about things that have happened on 322. The Kuwaiti dinar revalued on 322. It's, for whatever reason, the financial system that the evil ones use is somehow pivotal around this date. It's not God's date, it's Satan's or the evil one's date that they use. And that, for whatever reason, they've got their Skull and Bone Society or whatever, the Yale University all pivots around that number. So that's like next week. So is something happening next week? I don't know. But if something crazy happens, just know that it was an important time point for them. So now let's get into God's timing, because that's what I care about. I don't care what they do. I'm just pointing out an important date, or maybe a week that something might happen somewhere around that week. We wait and watch what triggers potentially here in March. But what I care about is what God's going to do on page 27, or not what he's going to do when he could do it. So Jesus Christ was crucified on 15 Nisan, which this year is April 6th. Passover begins on the eve of the 5th of April and ends on the 13th of April. So if God's going to do something, I would assume, my assumption would be, he would do it on his date, his feast date. Why do I say that? Well, because the first seal opened on Hanukkah. The second seal of Revelation opened on Pentecost, May 31, 2020. So what's the next? And then look what happened on the next important feast, Purim. What happened, right? You got the Tucker J6 stuff come out, right? So when's the next feast? Well, April 5th through the 13th, specifically, the important day would be April 6th. That on that specific day, Isaac was tricked to bless Jacob. On that specific date, Gideon, 300 were assembled. On that specific date, the angel of death killed 185 Assyrian soldiers. On that specific date, Haman came to the king to try to convince him to kill all the Jews. We talked about that earlier. On that specific date, Daniel was thrown in the lion's den. On that specific date, Belshazzar drank from the golden vessels, and that's the date that many tekel Avshazim, his kingdom came to an end, and it was given to the Medes and the Persians. He died that night. That was a day the angel of death came to visit Pharaoh. So does anything happen this April 6th or in April? I don't know. But I'm telling you, we're at 400 years since the Mayflower. We're at 1,260 days come June specifically for the first 3.5 years of Daniel. We're at 50 years from when Nixon took us off the gold standard. We're at 50 years from Klaus Schwab founded the World Economic Forum. We're at 50 years. That's the biggie. Roe v. Wade.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 50 years, Roe v. Wade would be January 22nd, 73, which takes it to 2023. Now, here's another interesting calculation. From Rosh Hashanah, it was 21 months, so 3 times 7 plus 6 days. And on that exact date, Roe v. Wade was overturned. So Ginsburg dies, 21 months, 6 days later, Roe v. Wade is overturned. The next critical calculation would be this one. Saudi Arabia signed a military agreement with Russia on August 24th, 2021. 21 months, 6 days is May 30th. By this time point, the financial system is completely blown up. So whatever happens is going to be huge starting in April. And then that takes us into, we talked about the angel of death on the next page, and now we're looking at April. And this takes us into a huge, huge important time by the first week of May. Okay. And why the first week of May? I'm going to give you a biblical calculation. So April 6th, the link is all here. Your viewers, if you want to go to Exodus timeline link, you don't need to click it, Noah, but it's right in there.
Right there.
You click
on the
this,
right.
what basically happens. So this is it. So on April 6th would be what happened. That would be Passover, April 6th. It took 18 days for Israel. What do? They left with the gold and silver. They plundered Egypt. So do expect that a great wealth transfer begins in April. The greatest financial event in human history begins in April. Okay? Because Israel's leaving with the gold and silver. Get it? They're leaving Pharaoh. But Pharaoh still has control because he still has his army. So my point is, he has buyer's remorse. He gets pissed. He runs after Israel to go kill them all as they're pinned up against the Red Sea. So they take 18 days to get there. They camp at that Red Sea for 8 days, and they cross the Red Sea. So God parts the Red Sea. Israel crosses the Red Sea, and then God closes the Red Sea on Pharaoh and his army on the 25th day, which would be May 1, using that calculation. What it basically says is May 1 is a time point. If you equate this to Pharaoh, would be the puppet masters of this world who control Mystery Babylon. They're either gone or they become unimportant as their worldwide control has come to a sudden end. Which means that if they're not controlling the financial system by May 1, they're dead, they're not here, they're unimportant, they're gone. You're talking historic explosions of precious metals, even higher, and cryptocurrencies in the month of May. Why? Because the ones controlling it are not able to control it. It's interesting, that slide you have right there is a prophetic word of Julie Green. These people are going to have, the prophetic word of God from Julie was, for all eternity, treason will be written on them. And then you have, interestingly enough, if you click that link, you don't need to right now, but Trump last week, what did he say? On January 6th, committees should be tried for treason. There's your link. You can click it. And when he comes back to power to rebuild what God destroyed based on Daniel 2, verse 34 prophecy, well, when he comes back to rebuild, guess what he's going to do? He's going to 45 is going to fulfill his words of what he wrote right there about the J6 committee. So this is what's coming. So the page 31, everything's going to go dark. I don't know when, but if all heck breaks loose in the world in the first week of May, it's interesting. But if that's that call sign, those that fly planes or boats, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Do you realize that actually reflects of May 1? Kind of coincidence, right? Oh, also another thing, do you realize that remember silver went up to $49? That was on that day that was a calculation I had. I sold all my silver at that time at 49. Why? Because it was a calculation I used. Do you realize that? And why silver crashed on that day? Because that's the apparent day that is 12 years ago to the exact day, May 1, Osama bin Laden was killed by the U.S. forces.
So 12 years. How many months in a year are there? 12. How many apostles are there? 12. It's interesting, but 12 is a very powerful number biblically. And so 12 years to the exact day is May 1 from the exact top in gold, exact top in silver in the year 2011. So all I'm saying is that there's a time point where everything could go dark. Don't be surprised the first week of May, end of April, I don't know, but April into May is going to be just wild based on biblical timing. That's all I can say. Biblical timing is pointing to everything going back, because remember, they're gonna need, these are alpha predators. They're gonna shut off everything, including the internet, because where's the truth going to be? Online.
Mm-hmm.
The truth is going to come on TV. Everything's going to come out as exposed, so they're going to shut everything down. So don't be surprised that everything goes dark.
Wow. Yeah, and we've been warned about that before.
Yeah, but could it happen at the end of June? Could happen there too. See, I don't know. But all I'm saying is, if you go to the next slide, page 32, here is the biblical calculations of how this could or supposed to play out biblically. So we talked about January 12th, 2020 was when Corona became a pandemic. You got seal 1. I would assume seal 3 opens at Passover, somewhere in there. So the greatest financial event manifests. 1,260 days takes us to January 25, 2023. June 25, 2023. So that will be completion of the first 3.5 years of Daniel, taking us into a 30-day window this summer, which then leads, again, like we said earlier, into the rebuild phase begins on or after August 9th. So what should we expect? Well, in the rebuild phase, the prophetic word is hundreds of empty seats in Congress. The 7 hills have fallen, so we're going to have to rebuild everything, starting with a financial system. So everything, the rebuild begins. The rebuild begins starting in August. And then it's interesting because Tim Clement had a prophetic word, which would be 9 years this year, so that the fall can do its work in America. So why would the fall do its work in America? Well, because something's obviously huge going down in the fall, because they are supposed to fall in fall. So when the truth comes out, they're exposed. And whoever's left, this is where the court trials begin, or whatever, how this is going to play out. But it's all going to manifest into this fall, where complete exposure comes, and then you've got the greatest bull market in human history in precious metals. And precious metals are going to be a store of wealth, but not really transactionable instruments. And this is where we can kind of talk about cryptocurrencies, because I'm talking to you in a different state, Noah. So I might want to buy something from you, but it doesn't make sense to send you a piece of silver. And silver might be at that time $1,000, but I might want to only buy something from that's worth 500. Get it? So I can't cut a piece of silver in half. So what can I do? Well, I can click a button, and in a fraction of a second, you receive whatever cryptocurrency I sent you, and our transaction is complete. So the financial control of this world involves a system of money where there's always a middleman. The bankers are the middleman. And that's why they hate gold. And that's why they hate silver, Noah. Why do they hate Bitcoin? For the same reason. You don't need a middleman. I can click a button and you get the coin, whatever I sent you. So you don't need middlemen. And so the financial system that we know today of middlemen blows up by June. And then a new will be rebuilt. So those that know how to transact in cryptocurrencies are going to be massively ahead of the game. Those that have no clue are going to have a huge learning curve, but a difficult learning curve, because most of the banks will be down. So it's going to be, and most will have lost their money. So they're going to try to figure out, how do I get involved in transacting when the financial system blows up? Then you're going to have the return of 45, who then is going to rebuild a financial system backed by gold and silver. When you back a financial system backed by gold and silver, well, the good news is
you can begin to transact again. And all you have to do is back like the old days, right? You take a piece of silver or gold to the bank and they would give you a piece of paper for it. But this piece of paper will be honest paper because it will be backed by gold and silver. So whatever they called it, something related to the treasury or something, but it will be a new money system. So I do expect 2 money systems in the United States this year. The one that we're presently using that becomes unimportant, completely unimportant, but people are still trying to transact in it. And then the new money system, which is backed by gold and silver. And so both of these are going to be but the only one that really anybody cares about is the new one because it's an honest ledger. Because the truth that comes out is going to expose the complete lies that have been perpetuated across this world for generations.
Well,
for generations.
That's incredible. That lines up exactly with what Cliff High has been saying. And I know a lot of people watching this are familiar with Cliff, and he has said the exact same thing, the death of the Federal Reserve note. So that is incredible.
See, the thing is, I have so much new revelation and information to give you and your viewers, because honestly, Noah, the only person, I actually go to your website, I check your stuff out, but I've been very quiet. I don't listen to any prophets for the past 3-4 months now. I don't do anything but just listen and put pieces together. And I keep coming up with so much data information right now. So it's interesting to know what you're saying, because I have no idea what anybody's saying right now. All I know is that what I've been showing crystal clear, and the time windows here blow me away on how there's no way I could have put this together. There's no way I could have put this together aside from divine help. I'm just telling you, the chart you're looking at on page 32 is mind-blowing in terms of the accuracy of time window and patterns that we are looking at right there. It's mind-blowing. The financial system blows up. The evil ones come back to power with a mark of the beast system later on. Okay, 2030, 2033, that's when they're going to expose themselves and come back to power. But remember, the old financial system has been hiding technology, okay, that was exposed, that was given to us, that we know about. Tesla is not the electric car. Go Google Tesla. He's about free energy. Okay. So, my good friend, Manuel Johnson, right? He talks about seeing in a vision flying cars.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get flying cars or cars? He basically said they float about 3-4 feet off the ground and they can go anywhere you want. You can't have that unless you've got anti-gravity. Okay. Well, how do you think these things called UFOs operate, right? It's technology that we don't know about. Physics was created by God, but probably 90% of physics that is hidden to us. Tesla exposed a whole bunch of the physics, but we're not allowed to know it because it's free energy, right? But when these evil ones and their evil regime and their money system blows up, then the truth comes out of everything that's been hidden, including anti-gravity or free energy. How this all comes to be, I don't know. I'm just telling you, but the truth is going to come out of things that have been hidden. And when the truth comes out, on top of that, don't be surprised if, we're going to see, the earth literally maybe stop rotating, something crazy happen, because remember, God's about to intervene and stop evil in its tracks. But more importantly, where is this scripturally? Because I can be saying all these things, but maybe it's my impression or maybe my opinion. This is not my opinion. Go to page 38. And those of you who have watched my interviews know what is virtually all my interviews start with a reading of Isaiah 61. I've read Isaiah 61 on your show numerous times, Noah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The point is, it describes the year of the Lord's favor. If you click the link, you don't need to do it, but the viewers can watch the link. This is literally on The Chosen a month ago. Jesus Christ actually said on The Chosen, it's not the time, because he says, why did you not read the day of vengeance of our God? And he answered the Pharisee, because it's not the time. So we're about to see the manifestation of the last line and the full and utter completion of Isaiah 61, the day of vengeance of our God, on this earth within the next 3.5 months.
resulting in the greatest change this world has ever seen. The next 3.5 months are going to be the 3 months next 3.5 months the world will never forget. I believe it's April into May are just going to be mind-blowing what's coming, particularly May. And it will be scripturally the fulfillment of Isaiah 61. Scripturally, the fulfillment of Proverbs 13:22, the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. Scripturally, the fulfillment of Leviticus, thou shalt consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land. It's like I could keep going on. The fulfillment of the third seal of Revelation, which is the rebalancing the financial skills. Like, it's just the cycles upon scriptures upon scriptures that are literally about to be fulfilled. So don't think that this is made up. It's scriptural. Go ahead, Noah.
Our guest today has been Bo Polny. Incredible stuff that is coming in the next couple months, and then it sounds like an even bigger summer and rebuilding season. Bo, this is you always bring the goods, but you've got a lot in here today, and this is fantastic, and you've given us a lot of dates to watch for. I'm going to have a lot of people mad at me if I don't ask you about cryptocurrency. We started there. Let's end there. Let's go back. We kind of danced around a few things, but I'd like to go right to it and have you tell us what we just saw happen in the last couple of days. I'm trying to get to your chart here because this is really something. I'm going to put you on page 71. Tell us what we've seen and maybe a hint about what's coming next for crypto.
Okay, so Noah, you get my reports, okay? The viewers that get my reports, this is in there, okay? This is our report. It's actually dated March 13th, literally yesterday's report that I put out. I blocked out the right side of it, basically, so you don't really know, because I can't really reveal everything. I want you to know how incredibly crazy and impressively accurate the past 6 months have been on the analysis. Like, it blows my mind to be able to write reports and not write, well, if this happens, then this is a possibility, or if this happens, then this is like, no, I've not written that ever in my reports, if and then that. Okay. My reports are very simple. Here's the next date. Here's what's coming. This is what to expect on this date. Here's a window of time that this is supposed to happen. Like, those are they're crazy reports because I just literally write about the future and it hasn't happened yet. And I'm just telling you, it's crazy, but that's my report. And so what have I been writing? Okay, so there's 7 bullet points here, right? So if you look at those arrows, this is the chart that my subscribers get. What did I write all of September and October? Bitcoin's going down. What did it do? It went down. Okay. Then the biggie was in October, like, hey, watch November, especially the 7th and 8th. It's going to drop through 19,000. Bitcoin's going to collapse. It happened to the precise day. We only find out that that's the FTX scandal. And then what happened? On November 22nd, Bitcoin bottomed. On November 22nd, I wrote, Bitcoin bottomed. Noah, that's been in every single report since November 22nd, and it's been dead on.
And
like,
this is yeah, but I just wanted to say 2 things. One, if you've been a subscriber and you've seen these things happen in real time, drop a comment below and just say, way to go, Bo, or I saw it happen. Maybe say, I saw it happen. I'd like to see how many of those we get, because I know there are probably hundreds of your subscribers watching this. And then the future from there, go ahead and take it from there, Bo.
Right. And then what do we write? And then after that, we basically said, we've been waiting. It's been boring a long time. And guess what? January is going to be an upcycle. Boom. Right on the money. January hit straight up cycle. Again, perfect cycle pattern replication. That which has been will be again. You just need to know where to look, right? And then what happened? February, going to be boring. Hey, guess what happened? February was boring, was it not, right? Another sideways cycle, boring. Slightly down, right? So it fully played out again, exactly as forecast. And what I say, but don't worry, because March is coming. I kept saying that. Don't worry, March is coming. March, we're going to see a sharp vertical reversal. I kept saying that in February. Every report. What happened? Boom. It took off, and the cycle preceded the event, but the event hadn't happened yet, so Bitcoin couldn't jump vertical because the banks hadn't crashed yet. Get it? Then the event happened. So the event cycles precede events. Then the event happened. I didn't know what the event was. but I found out it was the banks crashed in Northern California. So the banks in Northern California crashed. Boom, on Monday, Bitcoin spikes, goes $4,000, $5,000 vertical to the exact day. The point is, it fulfilled the cycle, but it wasn't supposed to happen until the event happened.
And Bo,
And
it
so
was
what's
even
coming so to finish up with what's coming next, again, Bitcoin's got a very powerful move coming. Okay, it's going to hit a top. It's then going to crash. It's what price targets are coming, or what, more importantly, what dates are coming. We've got some critically awesome, important dates that are coming in March, that are coming in April, that are coming in May, that are coming in June. We've got some critically important dates. I can't give them to everybody. The point is, why? Because first off, if you're involved in cryptocurrencies and you just want them to go up, well, I've shown you a pattern. I've told you Bitcoin's going up, so that's great. Those that are traders and really want specifics and dates and patterns and which coin should we invest in, yeah, we provide that as a service. Okay. I spend a lot of time, hours and hours, putting all that together, because I want it to be as accurate as possible. When I post something, I want it to be from my heart and as accurate as I possibly can put something. And that is what I publish when I publish an update. And I do no different with my reports. This is a 70-page report of thousands and thousands of hours of research and analysis and studying and listening to other prophets, studying scriptures, putting all the pieces together. So all I'm trying to do is show the world of what's coming. The slide deck that I gave, the 70 plus pages, is so much insane information that will literally give you a visual into the future. And I've done that in this interview with you, Noah. Period. Those that want details on cryptos, yeah, we offer it. Okay. But the point is, I just want to be a blessing to the world to know what's coming, and it is predictable.
Yeah, and I just want to say, you're always so humble when it comes to some of this stuff, Bo. But you've got point number 6 there on your slide, and you were saying March is the breakout. March is the breakout in your report. That was in the private report that everybody gets, all your subscribers. But as you got closer, it wasn't just March is the breakout. You said watch for Monday. You said Monday, March 13th. That's going to be the big day, and that's when it all happened. The banks failed Sunday night. Bitcoin goes crazy when we all woke up Monday morning. So it wasn't just watch this month. Bo, you had it to the day. And I want to say that because I know you don't want to brag, but you got it nailed to the day. That was pretty impressive.
Well, it's just because the cycle foretold it, right? But there's another even more important date coming in March. Okay, so as great as that one was, that's just we're just that breakout here. Like we're getting into that critical time window here, or time price point, that 24,500. They're fighting tooth and nail for the past months to not let it break through 24,500. That's been like the roof, and they're fighting tooth and nail. There's a very important date coming in March that's going to be magnitudes better than what just happened this past Monday.
Okay. Yeah. So if you want this report, Bo cuts this line off that you're seeing on the screen. This actually continues. It's in his newsletter. If you want to see the full thing, if you want to see that date that Bo is talking about, and the other ones, the ones that are coming in April and May and everything else, at least as Bo sees it in his cycles, you can go and get this if you want. Bo just said, if you're not a trader, TRADER, not the other kind that we had in the screen above, but if you're a TRADER trader and you want the turns, you can get this. You go to gold2020forecast.com. And as Bo does every time he's been coming on this show for 2.5, 3 years, he always gives you a coupon code that you can use. Those do expire, so that's they're not up forever. If you're watching this interview later on, that window may have closed, but if you're watching this live, that code's going to be good for you. You go in there, you type in when you're on the page, it'll say, do you have a coupon code, discount code? You put in WLT49. It's going to give you 50% off. And then my favorite part is you can get in there and you're going to have immediate access to everything. So you're going to have all of Bo's historical reports. So go ahead and you can go in there and go back to the last 5 or 10 and you can see this last little part. You can see the March 13th call out, and it's all in there. So when I very first joined years ago, I had fun going back looking at some of the historical stuff, and you're going to see exactly what these red arrows show. It's been pretty incredible. And then one other thing, Bo, just before we let you go, because we've had you on for a long time, If you're earlier in the interview, Bo was talking about, if you know crypto, if you're in crypto, you're probably in a pretty good spot. But if you're hearing all of this and you feel like you are behind, or you feel like you want to get into crypto, and Bo's not a financial advisor, I'm not a financial advisor. We're just telling you what we personally do, and Bo tells you what cycles he sees. But if you feel like, I don't understand crypto, but I really want to, this is probably the one for you. Slide number 73. Bo created this easy crypto school that you can go to, and it's going to take you from knowing absolutely nothing about it. I don't even know what website to go to. I don't know what Bitcoin is. I don't know where I go to get one. I don't know, once I have one, where I store it. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's in the computer somewhere. If you're confused by all of that, and if you don't want to make mistakes, because mistakes can be costly. So if you don't want to make mistakes, get this, and Bo's going to walk you through it from step 0 till the end. And he goes step by step. Screenshots are included. He tells you exactly where to go, the safe websites, the trusted websites, the trusted wallets. They're called wallets of where to hold these coins. That's where you want to go, easycryptoschool.com. And he's going to do the same thing. You drop in a coupon code WLT49. That's for anybody watching this interview. Our readers can get that code. And again, that also has an expiration date. So you want to grab that. And then it's the same thing. Once you log in, you've got access to the entire school, all the modules, and you can go at whatever pace you want. You can go speed through it, or you can just take a little bit at a time. So I'll put those links below this video too. But I would just say I'm not the time cycles guy. I'm not the analyst of time, but it was pretty exciting today and yesterday seeing that explosion in Bitcoin. And if there's a bigger explosion date coming up in the future, I'd like to have everybody on the ride with me, because I had a lot of fun this week, Bo. I don't know about you, but this has been pretty cool so far.
Well, all I can say is I agree with you. It's been boring. The price manipulators. See, the world we live in, Noah, it's all about control, control, control. They want to control humanity. They want to control us. And the way they control it is with the money system, right? The financial money system allows them to control humanity, because as long as it's their game, right? It's the central bank is not central, and it's not a bank, or the Federal Reserve is not federal, and it's not a reserve. It's private. It's a private institution. Okay, they create the money out of thin air. They push it across humanity. They've enslaved everybody. So now everybody believes that they have to pay back a debt that was created out of thin air. Period. Okay, the money system has enslaved us, and I explained to you what happens when you create $1 trillion. And the world's population, you keep diluting the money. That's all that's happening. And so the world, at some point, this has to stop. They will not stop. But we are at a biblical time window here. We're at a biblical time point where if God is going to do something, it's probably sooner rather than later. So if you've listened closely, I've given you a window of time. We've got such little time remaining, March into April here, because by May, I think the things already it would have already happened. So something biblical is coming. Then that leads us into the next 3.5 years forward, beginning in August, right? So the end of August, end of summer, leads us into September, and then fall, right? What happens in fall? Fall is harvest. So happens at harvest, right? What you have sown, thus you shall reap. So where is that written? Galatians 6, verse 7. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatever a man soweth, thus shall he reap. So what that means is, if you've planted evil seeds, what do you think these people have been doing? They want to kill us. They want to kill humanity to have the earth be theirs. So they've been planting those seeds. God is going to intervene, flip the tables, and what they planted for us, they are going to receive upon their own heads. On the other side of it, those that planned are going to be blessed like you've never, ever imagined before. No one's gotten the timing because it's been a secret. But now we're at this critical time point where it can't go any further. And so many prophets I know that you've actually listened to, Noah, are all repeating the words great wealth transfer. The great wealth transfer specifically means the fall of Babylon, because that would be the transfer from the money of the trillions from the wicked to the church, fulfilling the scriptures that I gave you earlier. So what's fall? It's reaping season. For some, it will be the greatest time window in human history.
And for others that planted evil seeds, all hell. God's got this. God's got this. He's in control. Everything we've seen happen, this is the crazy part, Noah. Everything we've seen happen so far has been on biblical feasts and biblical time points. How crazy is this? Including what just happened with Tucker on Purim. You can't make it up because it's all by God's design.
Our guest for the full hour plus has been Bo Polny. Bo, this has been great. You've really brought some amazing stuff here. Thank you for your time, as always. 1+ hours that we've been on, and so grateful for you to make that time for us and for everybody watching this. Thank you for the slide presentation that I know you spend hours on. That is available for free down below this interview. And we are excited to see these dates come forward. Might be some tough times, but really good things on the other end when that building season kicks in. So I always like to give you the last word. Bo, what closing thought do you want to leave everybody with before we sign off?
By May, I'd say in the month of May into June, it's going to be the worst of times the world has ever seen, in the best of times the world has ever seen.
Yeah.
So it depends on which side you choose.
Perfect. Well, we know which side we're on, and we know which side you're on, Bo, and I hope everybody listening to my voice and yours here is prepared and planned and has made that same choice. So, Bo, thank you so much. We're going to be watching, and I know we'll have you back on soon to talk about some even bigger things. So, thank you so much for being here.
God bless. Thank you.